Welcome to the Afterspin, opinions from thought leaders in our state. I want to ask Howard Lee and Donna Martinez. The state of California just conducted an election for a congressional seats and mailed out ballots to all the voters in the district. Now, many are saying our state needs to prepare for a large mail-in ballot surge, but our Board of Elections says we aren't prepared for it. Should the legislature provide more funding for absentee ballot voting, Donna?
No, I think that the prospect of some surge, a huge surge of mail-in ballots, is really overestimated. We're talking well into the fall, and many people consider going in person to vote something that is critical to exercising their ability to be heard. I think we're still going to see a very large in-person vote. Remember, if you want to vote by mail-in ballot, you can do so today. For me, it's not a money issue at all. What I think people should be keeping their eye on is this lawsuit that was filed in Wake County by this national Democratic attorney who at one point was representing Hillary Clinton's campaign. And what they are doing, representing a handful of North Carolina voters, is seeking to change the rules and, in my view, take away the protections we do have in place for mail-in ballots. Things like asking for no witness signatures, the ability for ballots to be accepted up to 9 days after an election, and if a ballot comes in with no postmark, to presume that it has been cast on or before Election Day. That is just asking for problems, and we have seen it before in this state, ballot shenanigans, and we don't need that at all. I'd be keeping my eye on that, not some idea that we're going to have a huge number of people who refuse to show up at the polling places.
What's your take on this, Howard? Are we going to have a big surge in people wanting to mail in ballots?
I think it's going to be a lot higher than usual because there are many people who obviously want to vote but don't feel very comfortable going to the polls and voting in public. I would not go to the polls if there were crowds of people showing up. And while I don't necessarily personally like casting my vote by mail-in, I would certainly do it rather than expose myself because I'm in that high-risk group, of course. And I think you're going to have at least a lot of older people who will feel more comfortable casting the ballot. So I think that's going to add to the numbers. I think it's inexcusable that the State Board of Election would sit around now and talk about how we are not prepared when there's plenty of time to get prepared to be to handle this mass mail-in voting. I think it's a good idea. I think it certainly. While some people have said this would favor Democrats, it turned out in California, I don't think that turned
Yeah, they lost. So, the Democrats lost a seat in California because of it.
California, and so I think that argument has gone out the window. But I do think we ought to encourage it. I think it should happen. And we've always had absentee balloting, and so what makes the difference in mailing in and using absentee?
You know, Donna, you make an excellent point. There's a feeling you get when you go to the poll and you fill out your ballot and you put it in that little machine and the counter comes back and tells you what voter number you are. There's just a feeling when you walk out, and they give you this little sticker so that I voted. So there is an awful lot to be said for that.
You know, Tom, I think when we go to vote, at least for me, it is a feeling that I really am a part of my country.
Done my duty.
Right. And I have made sure that I voted for people that I think will best represent my view of our state, of our country, and where we should be headed. That's important to a lot of people. And by the way, you know, just because you go to vote in person, that doesn't mean that we can't have precautions in place, such as 6 feet apart, such as fewer stations inside the polling place. I think people will understand that in this situation, that again, we can all understand we have to take precautions, but we don't have to shut down our lives.
Yeah, but Howard, I think an awful lot of people have it still in their minds, that fiasco that took place in Wisconsin, where there was no social distancing and they were just huge throngs of people who were standing in line and no mask, no protection, and that might be a turnoff to many people.
Well, I think that's true, and there are many of us, including me. I would rather vote in public, and I frankly don't vote early voting because I want to first wait till the last minute to see if the candidates are going to live up to what I thought they might have if I voted earlier. Right. And secondly, I just like to be there with the crowds. But I think we have to be realistic in looking at the circumstances of today, which is that there are more people who are going to feel less comfortable going to the polls than they would otherwise, and therefore we should make this option available. But I think it's a turnoff when our state board of elections says, well, we're not prepared. And people say, well, that means that I can't vote by mail, and that
Right.
discourages people, some people from voting at all. I think that's a downside, and I really I'm disgusted with that kind of attitude.
The consensus I think I'm getting from both of you is we will have more mail-in voting and ballots this year than perhaps we've had in recent years, but it may not be this overwhelming surge that some people are predicting. Pretty accurate? Is that a good read?
I think so.
All right. Well, thank you for watching the After Spin. We'll have more video all during the week on ncspin.com.